Everyone, Heather here with astrologywithheather.com, and I am back with another weekly forecast. This one is for Monday, November 16th, all the way through to Sunday, November 22nd of 2020. And this week we are in for some surprises. We have Mercury in the sign of Scorpio opposing Uranus for the third and final time. Uranus always brings in this really crazy wild card energy, and with Mercury in the mix, we're likely to have a lot of surprising interactions, a lot of wild, unusual information coming into the mix, shocking messages that cause us to have to change our minds about something or shift our perspective in some way or change our plans. And so this is a week where things are going to be a little unstable. However, this is also a week where we can feel inspired, where we can get some sort of download or divine inspiration to help us solve an old issue, an old problem once and for all. And so before we get into all of that, I do want to mention, for those of you who are newer to my forecast, and even for those who've been around for quite some time, thank you for being here, that the way that I structure my videos is first I get into a general forecast for about 5 or 10 minutes where we discuss the biggest energies for the week ahead on a more general level. This is important to listen to. Don't skip it, because it's going to give you context for what we're going to be discussing in the all signs forecast. Speaking of which, when I do get into the forecast for all 12 signs, make sure that you listen to your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising sign. The rising sign is going to be the most predominant energy, the sun sign will be secondary, and the moon sign will be more internalized and subjective. That being said, I also want to mention I use the tropical zodiac because I know I'll get a lot of questions about that down in the comments section. So this is tropical Western astrology. Finally, at the end of every video, I am doing something new where I include a brief overview of the energies for the next week's forecast, so you can get ahead of that energy and understand what's coming up 2 weeks from now, really. So you'll get a little bit of a preview there for those who are interested if you want to stick around until the end of this video. All right, so moving on to the forecast. As I mentioned before, Mercury is opposing Uranus, and this is actually the third and final time that this opposition will be taking place due to the Mercury retrograde cycle. So Mercury is still in its shadow, post-shadow of the Mercury retrograde that we just experienced in the signs of Scorpio and Libra. And so the first pass of this transit exact was on October 7th. The second pass was on October 19th, and actually Mercury stationed to go retrograde on October 13th, still in a close opposition with Uranus. And so basically from the week of the 7th through the week of the 19th, so most of October, this was a very active transit, especially on those three key dates, the 7th, the 19th, and the 13th of October. And so if you can think back to that time period and think back to areas where maybe you felt mentally unsettled or frustrated or anxious, where maybe you did get a really surprising message or communication that came in. I know that I had that happen because it was sitting on my ascendant and descendant pretty closely. So that was a wild one. And, for my husband as well, opposing his Mars and Pluto. But, thinking back to that time period, did you get some new information? Was there something that shocked you or took you out of your comfort zone in some way, that rattled your mindset around something, that caused you to feel a little anxious or a little excited about something new that maybe was a possibility that you never thought of prior to this message or to this inspiration that occurred? Think back to that time. Reflect on what happened. If you've been watching my forecast, I made sure to point out those time periods for you so you would be paying attention. And if you were paying attention, then you should have an idea of the types of energies that are going to be coming back around, the types of themes that will be most predominant, which areas of life might be impacted in a new way this time. It could be that there was a disturbing message that came in, not disturbing like, ew, that's weird and disturbing, but maybe, but disturbing in the sense that it was disruptive, right? I should say more a disruptive message that came in around that time that changed things for you, right? Or a new concept or new information that you were presented with that might have been very uncomfortable for you at first, but now you've kind of settled in with it. Now you've learned how to work with it. Now you've decided that you need to maybe integrate this new, unusual, strange information or insight that you've come into, and you need to maybe express that to other people now, or you need to incorporate that into your plans, your ideas, whatever it is that you're plotting for the future. This is a week where, kind of on a general level, we might see some really unusual, shocking twists and turns and new information coming out, kind of in a more general sense in the media, or, you know, maybe even in the public sphere in your own personal life, that type of thing. But this is where we're going to be confronted with news and information and communications that make us feel uncomfortable, but really cause us to have to change something in a way that liberates us from an old paradigm, an old mindset, especially that has been deeply embedded in us, maybe because we've been holding on to it due to our emotional or psychological attachments to an old narrative, or because we have some sort of physical attachment or physical incentive. Like maybe we're attached to that narrative because that narrative is what allows us to continue to do what we're doing to create resources for ourselves, that type of thing. That could be a big one for a lot of people as well. Some more than others, and we'll get into that when we get into the all signs forecast. But that's really what's coming around this week. It's not as turbulent or crazy or crisis driven as last week, but there's definitely going to be some shakeups. And so let's get into the forecast for all 12 signs. But before we do, I just want to make a couple of very quick announcements. My winter astrology or electional astrology guide is available now for immediate use, immediate download. You can find the link down in the description below so you can plan for success in everything you wish to accomplish this winter. And other than that, I'm working right now on creating my 2021 astrology forecast for each sign. I'm going to have a video that's about 75 to 90 minutes long for each sign. And I get into the general forecast and the month by month forecast for each of the signs. That's going to be available in just a couple of weeks. And I actually have an announcement related to that you'll be seeing on your news feed on Instagram or Facebook or in your inbox if you follow me on any of those avenues as well. So definitely stay tuned for that, because I've been working on something really awesome, kind of in secret, that I'm excited to tell you guys about. And in the spirit of this being the new moon in Scorpio, you know, maybe revealing some secrets. So, all right, let's get into the forecast for all 12 signs. Now that that is said and done here, beginning, of course, with Aries and Aries rising. Got to get my little zodiac signs pulled up for you guys. There we go. Okay. And so for Aries and for Aries rising, you could have shocking communication or unexpected news come in related especially to finances this week. It could cause you to have to change your financial plans. You could have a bill or an email or a text message or a phone call that comes in that causes you to have to spend some money, right? That causes you to have to pivot in some way when it comes to your budget or your financial plans. This could also be a message that brings an unexpected opportunity to create money or to bring in money from an outside source, through taxes, through a loan agreement, through an investment, through a partner too. Like if you are in a partnership, there could be an unexpected message that comes in involving your partner's resources that changes things up and liberates you in some way, gives you more financial freedom, which, by the way, I was just doing the Aries forecast a couple of days ago, and that's going to be a big theme for the coming year for you. So pay attention to what's going on right now, because it's going to be relevant and important to your foundation for 2021. And yeah, the only other thing I would say is that this could bring up fears, anxieties, past wounds, past traumas, power struggles involving resources, but it's going to give you an outlet to really resolve these issues and move on from it once and for all. For Taurus and for Taurus rising, this is happening in your sign and in the opposing sign, in the sign of Scorpio. And so for Taurus, this is going to be probably some shocking news coming in that impacts you and your partner if you are in partnership. It could be a surprising message out of the blue from somebody who you used to be partnered with, or a close friend, a close relative, like a business partner, something along those lines. But you probably will have shocking communication coming to you on this one-on-one level from somebody who's close to you in your life, or there could be a need to change or alter an agreement, a negotiation, something that was set in motion a while ago. It could be reflecting some sort of message or information that came into you around those time periods that I mentioned in October at the start of this video. So between the 7th and 19th of October, especially, you could have had some sort of unexpected, shocking message that came in, and this is going to bring it back up. This is for Taurus, a time where you're going to be feeling antsy. You're going to be feeling frustrated with your current circumstances. You're going to be feeling caged up and ready to launch into something new, ready to change something really rapidly, ready to rebel against your current circumstances, and ready to shock people with the information that you're withholding right now. For some of you, you might be internalizing this need to speak your mind and to do something more rebellious, right? This is a revolutionary energy for Taurus. This is where your whole life is changing and you're breaking free from any constraints when it comes to your old patterns, your old conditioning that you're doing because it's socially acceptable or because that's the way you've been conditioned to behave. This is the time where you're working on breaking out of those patterns and becoming more unique, more independent, more of who you truly are. You're liberating yourself from like the shackles of just being this person, this persona that you've created for whatever reason. And so this could be a time where you decide, I'm going to stand up, I'm going to say what I believe in, I'm going to talk about these things even though it might be shocking or it might be disruptive. And, you know, people on the other side of it, people who are close to you might have things to say about that as well. So just know that if you decide to be the bearer of the information this time around, that you might have some repercussions, but ultimately this is going to favor you. This is going to help you to be more free and more liberated moving forward. For Gemini and for Gemini rising, this is actually an interesting placement because Uranus has been transiting your 12th house for a couple of years now. And so this is a time where you can have really weird dreams, really disrupted sleep patterns. You could be studying unusual topics, unusual forms of spirituality or religion, behind the scenes, behind closed doors. This is a time where you're going to be creative in really unique and innovative ways. And this Mercury energy is helping you to bring that into your day-to-day life and your day-to-day experience on the opposite end in the side of Scorpio. This is also where hidden information that you've been suppressing might be revealed, or you might put it out there in some way, or where there could be some unexpected shocking messages or circumstances that come up and disrupt things for you when it comes to your work and your day-to-day habits and routines. Or this could be important information that comes back around, maybe involving scientific testing or data involving your health, or a health condition, or maybe involving some sort of alternative cure or remedy that you could utilize in order to improve your health in some way that maybe would be shocking or unusual or strange to you that you wouldn't normally consider. Now it's probably coming back around multiple times and it's like, all right, I guess I got to do this. I guess this is the time for it. So again, paying attention to what was going on back in October, like I mentioned at the start of this video, definitely watch the start of these videos so you can get that context. That's going to help you to understand what's coming back around this time for this final pass of Mercury in opposition to Uranus. For Cancer and for Cancer rising. So for Cancer, this energy is happening in your 11th and in your 5th house. And so this could be shaking things up when it comes to, I mean, this is actually a positive energy for Cancer, especially when it comes to relationships, when it comes to friendships, when it comes to social connections and interactions. And so I like this energy for Cancer more so than a lot of the other signs. Mercury will be trining your ascendant and sextiling your descendant. Uranus will be sextiling your ascendant, trining your descendant. What that all means is that this is favoring you and helping you, and this is also improving your relationship through open and honest communication, through sharing things that might be unusual or outside of the box or that might be shocking to others, and through changing things about really important close one-on-one relationships and changing things about the way that you interact and engage and move about the world, right? Changing things about your persona, the way that you show up, breaking out of old patterns and old conditioning, speaking your mind this week is going to be really important. There could be a message that comes in involving a friend or from a friend that could be unusual, shocking, disruptive in some way, but it's going to help to inspire you, especially when it comes to your creative self-expression. Or it could help to inspire you when it comes to the way that you engage with teaching or educating or communicating with your children or with children in general, if that's applicable to you. This is a time where I think it's fun. Like if you are not in a place where, things are locking down, this would be a great time for socializing, social interactions, group gatherings, that type of thing. But this could also be utilized via technology, right? Because Uranus does rule things like technology. And that 11th house has that association with the internet, social media, things like that as well. Mercury too. So, I mean, this could even be you doing like a Zoom meeting or an online gathering of some kind. And I think that this could actually be very inspiring for you. It can help you to brainstorm, to mastermind, to figure out new and exciting ways of resolving old problems. At the very least, it'll be fun. You'll come up with like a lot of new ideas, and it'll help you to change your mindset in a way that's more optimistic and more positive. And so I do like this energy for Cancer. If you are in partnership, this is a really good time to do something new and exciting, like doing some sort of new hobby or new creative craft or something just exciting and new that you feel really passionate about, or that, even if you don't right now, exploring something new could cause you to light up a new passion. So I love this energy for a date night as well as a group gathering. For Leo and for Leo rising, Mercury opposing Uranus is happening in your 10th and in your 4th house. And so thinking back to what was going on a couple of weeks ago, back in October, like the time periods that I mentioned at the start of this video, there would have been some sort of message, some sort of disruptive energy, some sort of unsettled, frustrated energy involving your work, what it is that you're putting out into the world. It could have been involving your home, your family, your connections or communications with family. It could have been involving a contract or agreement involving property or your home or a lease agreement or something like that. Or it could be a contract or agreement or a communication or a negotiation involving your business, involving your career in some way. But this is a time where Leos are going to be feeling really, thinking about that, by the way, bring that back in. And those themes are going to be coming back around in the specific way that it would have been applicable to you during that time frame. But Leos in general are going to be feeling frustrated, bored, listless, wanting to change things up and rebel against their current circumstances where things feel old and boring and stagnant in their career. And when it comes to their public reputation, they might be Leo. I feel like Leo rising people this week are going to be saying and doing wild things out in the public. So like, if you have a public account or a public persona, or if you're running a business, you're going to be changing things up and just saying things and doing things that are very unlike you or uncharacteristic of how you conduct business. But that's okay. It's going to help to start liberating you from that old narrative, that old paradigm that you've been adhering to. This would actually be a time where there could be unusual, very weird communications and messages coming from family members or related to family members, shocking, surprising new information related to not just your family right now, but like your family lineage and your heritage. You could have done like, maybe this could be as simple as like you did a 23andMe, you get it back, and you like learn that your heritage is nothing that you thought it was or something like that. Which I guess is not that simple, but it's straightforward, right? That would be a straightforward example of this transit. But if there's something you've been wanting to change involving your home, involving your work, or involving both, maybe working from home, creating a home office, whatever it is, now's the time where you can finally move forward with those plans. For Virgo and for Virgo rising. So for Virgo, this energy is happening in your 3rd and in your 9th house. Virgo is another sign where this transit is actually impacting you more positively, especially if you are a Virgo, sun, moon, or rising anywhere around that 8 degrees. So I would say, especially, I'm going to give this like a 3-degree orb with Mercury because it's going to be moving on pretty quickly. So I would say anywhere from 5 to 11 degrees, you're going to be feeling this the most. most, but I mean, really like let's say 4 to 12 degrees. Just give it a little bit more wiggle room. You're going to be feeling this in a very positive way. This is where you've probably been changing your mind about a lot of things. You've been thinking about things in very new, innovative, eccentric, different ways than you normally think about things. And so your mental construct about the way life works, the big paradigms that you utilize to give a framework for this reality have been changing and shifting over the past month or so. And you're opening up to new ideas, new concepts, new ways of believing, new ways of thinking, new exciting information. And you're feeling like maybe you're ready to start sharing that information with the world. Now is a great time for unusual, open, honest, rebellious forms of communication that are different from the norm, that are different from the mainstream, that are different from your norm, especially, because now it's time to integrate those new concepts, those new ideas. This would be a great time to start something new or to finalize something or resolve something involving an online educational pursuit or a course or a certification of some kind. Like, this is great energy for all of those things. And this is a great time to communicate, especially to communicate in partnership in new, exciting, fun ways, or to take a trip if you do have the ability to take a short journey with a partner this week, to do like a day trip or something like that. That can actually be very helpful in your relationships as well. Good time for Virgo right now for brainstorming, planning, communicating, bouncing ideas off of other people, and getting yourself out there. You're going to be feeling kind of bored and like restless. You're going to want to like do things that are exciting and explore things that are exciting and absorb content that's very interesting and unusual and exciting this week. So go for it, because that's going to help you. That's going to help you to gain a better perspective on life and to let go of old, stale, outdated modes of thinking. For Libra and for Libra rising, this is another sign where this is impacting your financial sector. And so you have Uranus in the 8th house opposing Mercury in your 2nd house if you are a Libra rising. And so this is going to be a disruptive energy on a financial level, where you probably had this come around for the first time in October, where like those dates that I mentioned at the start of this video, where you maybe got a shocking message or a shocking opportunity that came around involving an investment, involving debt, taxes, inheritance, insurance payouts, involving your partner's resources, or just involving money in general, where there could have been an opportunity that was expressed to you. Maybe you thought about it, you didn't take hold of it, you kind of sat with it and had to kind of adjust because new information kept coming in, and now you're finally time to pull the trigger and jump right into it. I think that this would be appropriate for this week, although there is some... Yeah, I think it would be appropriate for this week. But the other thing that could be happening is that there's a change. There's an unexpected expenditure. There's an unexpected payout. There's an unexpected, message or an unexpected idea. This could be a time where it's like you thought you knew what you were doing. You had all these really inspired new ideas for how to create resources or change things up or have more financial freedom, and you thought that was it, right? That was it. Okay, I got it. This was crazy enough. This is good. And now something comes in that completely shifts that paradigm, and you have a new idea or something that you need to add to that old idea that changes things and causes you to have to pivot one more time. That would be, yeah, and definitely changing things up when it comes to your budget. But financial changes and shocking news related to finance, that would be the biggest thing I would see this week. The other thing that could be happening is you could be feeling anxious or restless, or this could be bringing up fears or anxieties from the past. This would be a really great time to engage in some sort of unusual healing practice aimed at psychological or emotional healing in particular. You could really have a lot of aha moments, and you could really find new ways to work through old patterns, old behaviors, old oppressive energies, old fears. For Scorpio and for Scorpio rising, this is happening in your sign, Scorpio. So this is going to be Uranus in your 7th and Mercury in your 1st if you are a Scorpio rising. And I mentioned before that this one kind of shook me up a little bit last time, so I'm interested to see what happens this final pass. Not bad. It was like disruptive, and it was like, oh crap, what is this? And then it ended up actually being very liberating in, true Uranian fashion. But this is a time where that type of energy can come back around. That first occurred at the start of October, really the start through the end of October. So most of October, this was a big energy. But I mentioned those dates at the start of this video. If you think back to that time, old information, old messages, old opportunities, old inspirations that came around for the first time during that first pass can come back around again in new and exciting ways to be resolved, to be put out there, to be expressed once and for all. And so this could be a time where you learned something new. You had a new experience. It could have been involving your partner or in partnership with somebody else. And now maybe you're ready to integrate that, to express it to people, to share information. This is a week where Scorpios in particular are going to be saying all sorts of wild and weird things. They're going to be wanting to be rebellious. They're going to be wanting to speak their mind. And they're going to come into conflict sometimes with other people who have very strong ideas that are, that they're just as amped up about. I would say that would be a part of this energy too. This would be a really great time to do something new, exciting, different in partnership with somebody else, whether that's a spouse or, somebody who you're in partnership with in a relationship, a business partner. New and exciting communications can come in. So you could have new and exciting opportunities for partnership or old opportunities from a few weeks ago that come back around and you're like, all right, I'll do it. I got this now. That type of thing. Brainstorming one-on-one with somebody, that could be a great way to use this energy. Something needs to change this week though in your partnership. It could even just be that your partner is feeling restless and anxious and like they're kind of feeling rebellious or they're needing more freedom this week. And if that's the case, that's okay. Do something exciting with them or give them their space. I would say that would be a helpful tip for Scorpio risings this week. For Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising. So for Sagittarius, this is happening in your 6th and in your 12th house. This could be bringing up, first off, the energy that is coming back around from October. So at the start of this video, I mentioned the dates, but back in October, this came exact twice, this Mercury Uranus opposition, and this is the third and final pass. So looking back to that time period and seeing what was coming up for you when it comes to externalizing, maybe internalized forms of rebellion, disruptions to your daily habits and routines, disruptions and unusual circumstances involving your work and your work relationships and your coworkers. Those types of things can be coming back around. You might have had some unusual, disruptive, kind of wild communications with your coworkers or involving your work, and that might come back around. This would be a great week to brainstorm or to talk about new ideas and innovative projects related to your work. This could also be unusual information coming in about your health or about some sort of test results or something like that that come back around for a third and final time, or you get new information about your health that you didn't realize before, and it could be like a revelation for you. This could also be you looking to alternatives. That's that Uranus and Taurus in the 6th house, looking at very unusual, very like outside of the box ways of dealing with your health and improving your health this week. That would be a good way to utilize this energy as well. That 12th house axis too, there could be something that has been on your mind that you haven't said that you need to put out there, especially related to health or the healthcare industry or your doctor or something like that, or related to your work and your daily habits and routines. And so this is a restless week, I would say, on a day-to-day level, but overall, this is going to liberate you from any stuck, stagnant, monotonous, stale energy in your day-to-day life and experience. All right, and for Capricorn and for Capricorn rising, this is going to be happening in your 11th and in your 5th house. And this is actually another sign where this energy is going to be experienced much more positively. We have Mercury in the sign of Scorpio, trining your descendant, sextiling your ascendant if you're a Capricorn rising, still sextiling your sun or moon if you're a Capricorn sun or moon. And then we have Uranus in the sign of Taurus making a trine to your ascendant sun or moon and sextiling your descendant if this is your ascendant. This is a positive energy. This is going to benefit you personally in many different ways. This is a very social energy. This is where you're going to be wanting to connect and branch out and to open or expand your social circle to include people who you wouldn't have included or considered before. You might have a lot of unique, unusual, shocking, disruptive, exciting communications coming in from friends, from social networks, from groups of people that you surround yourself with by choice. This could also be you amping up your passions and wanting to do something, like maybe start a group that is, centered around something that you do as a hobby that you really love, that you're really passionate about. This could also be wanting to connect with other parents, or doing some sort of group homeschooling thing or group connection thing, like a group play date with other children if you're a parent. This could be an unexpected message or an unexpected opportunity that comes to your children if you are a parent. And so there could be a shocking message from your children's school. There could be a shocking message from your child. Maybe your child says something that's like, where did that come from? Or maybe your kids are just a little rowdy and a little rebellious this week. If that's the case, try to have fun with it, right? Try to play with them, because this is a good week to play and to expand your horizons by exploring things that are exciting, to exploring that childlike energy, right? This is also a time where new romantic connections can come in, especially through your connections with friends or your other social connections. And if you are in partnership, this is a time to do new and exciting things. Have a night out on the town, have a date night, even if it's a date night in, do something really wild that you've never done together before. This is also the house of, sex and romance. And so maybe spicing things up in that way in your partnership might be a good way to utilize this energy as well. As long as you're being open and honest and communicating throughout that process, I think this would be a good time for Capricorns to engage in something like that. But overall, this is a fun energy. This is a time to have fun with it. So use it while it's here, Capricorn. And then Aquarius and Aquarius rising. This energy is happening in your 10th and in your 4th house. And so this is a time where you've probably been feeling a little uneasy or restless, or feeling bored with your home life, your living situation, your current circumstances, with your family life. You could have been feeling like you really need to move. That really would have been something that's been going on for a while, but this Mercury opposition to Uranus might have been stimulating that and giving you some insight, some inspiration, some ideas about where you can move to and how to go about that process, or maybe giving an opportunity for a new lease or for a new property that you could live in or buy or rent or something like that. This is also where you're going to be feeling really inspired when it comes to your work and your career path overall. You might have some really exciting, innovative new ideas that are coming back around from earlier in October and those dates that I mentioned at the start of this video. And so this could be actually shocking, unexpected new messages that come through involving your work from your boss or your employer, or from somebody in a position of authority, or just in general. You could have a lot of changes. You could be changing your mind this week about something really important involving your work, but that last final pivot, that last final change is actually going to help you to feel much more liberated. There could be something that you're working on changing to create a better work-life balance, or it could be like renovating or doing something so you can work from home or have a better home office. If that's the case and you're feeling inspired, go for it. This might bring a little bit of extra tension for Aquarius rising people, sun or moon, just because this will be forming a T-square with your ascendant sun or moon, especially if you have your ascendant sun or moon anywhere from, what was I saying before, 4 to 12 degrees in the sign of Aquarius. And so just know that you might be feeling much more anxious in your body. You might be feeling much more restless in your body. You might have some disruptions and some weird communications coming through in your relationship. You might be feeling tense or kind of burdened by one another this week if you are in partnership, and especially in business partnerships too, that could be a thing. So just make sure that you're giving each other space and you're communicating openly and honestly with one another, and that should be okay. And finally, for Pisces and for Pisces rising, this energy with the Mercury opposition to Uranus is happening in your 9th and in your 3rd house. This is a shift in your mindset, and this is actually something that's going to benefit Pisces more so than a lot of the other signs, because Mercury is trining your ascendant sun or moon, Uranus is sextiling your ascendant sun or moon. This is favoring you in a lot of ways. This is where you've had to deal with a lot of shocking, unexpected, disruptive, unusual, valuable information that's been thrown your way, especially back in October, and it's coming back around again, and you have to reintegrate that. This could also be opportunities for new learning experiences, new courses, new educational pursuits, or an opportunity or an idea that you have to like launch a course or to write a book or to write a blog or to share new, innovative, exciting information in a different way than what you've been doing before. So this is a time where you're going to be feeling very inspired, and this is a time where your mindset and your perspective that really frames your reality is shifting and changing, and you're having to contend with a lot of new information that really disrupts the what you thought was tried and true, what you thought was really stable when it comes to your the narrative that you have, when it comes to the way that you deliver information, when it comes to the way that you understand this reality, the way that you understand our world. You're having to make some changes to your beliefs. You're having to make some changes to your ideologies. You're having to accept and integrate new information that you might have been opposed to in the past. And that's okay. That's actually going to be very, very helpful. And I would say that if you feel like you need to communicate some new, shocking, unusual ideas this week, if you need to change things up in that way, this is a week where that's favorable for you. And so, yeah, I actually really like this energy. This is also a time where you can have really exciting news that comes through a partner or in partnership. You can have a lot of exciting news that comes to you personally. You're probably going to be on the receiving end of a lot of text messages, phone calls, emails, things of that nature, all of which might be a little unusual, weird, strange, disruptive, but in the end, integrating this information or taking advantage of the opportunities that come your way, it's going to be very liberating. And this is a good week to shake things up and do new things in relationship if you are in partnership. That would be another great way to use this transit. If it's available to you, and you can do like a short trip or something like that, this would be a great time to do that with a partner or with a close friend. And yeah, that could actually really expand your mind and open you up to new possibilities in a way that wouldn't otherwise be available to you. Okay, and so that's the forecast for all 12 signs. And so let's get into the forecast for next week, or the overview of the energy for next week. So next week, we actually have good news. Next week, we have a lot of actually really positive energy. Mercury is going to be doing some really good stuff. After it's done opposing Uranus, it's going to come in and it's going to trine Neptune in the sign of Pisces. People are going to be feeling much more compassionate. People are going to be seeing right through any nonsense next week, because this is going to make you very perceptive, very open, very intuitive, very empathic. And with the Mercury being in the very discerning sign of Scorpio, this is going to be a time where people are going to start seeing through manipulation and intuitively understanding what's going on. And people are going to be feeling more connected or speaking in a way that's more empathic and more compassionate. So I like that energy. And also Mercury is going to be sextiling Pluto, which only further enhances that. This is like a time to get those psychic downloads. This is a good time to get a psychic reading or an astrology reading, or to look into something along those lines. This is a good time to kind of work on thinking creatively. It's going to be a really great week for that. And also, by the way, Mercury will be sextiling Jupiter. So yeah, this is a really great time for truth, for understanding, for compassion, for compassion and for communication this next week of November, the 23rd through the 29th. The only hang up is that Venus will be making its final square to the Capricorn planets. Actually, no, that's not true. Venus is going to be making an opposition to Uranus. The Capricorn planet thing happens this week. So Venus is going to be opposing Uranus. And so we'll get a little bit more of that like shake up, disruptive energy. But again, especially with Venus, you have to look to like what the condition of these planets are. Venus is at its fall in Scorpio. However, it is a benefic planet. So I would say that this energy isn't going to be, as bad as it could be. I would say that it could be actually bringing positive disruptions next week that help us to come back into balance in a way that's very much needed right now. So that is the energy for next week. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you want to learn more about astrology, you can check out these videos up here, and I will see you guys next week. Bye, everyone.